welcome to another episode of Placement Diaries. Today we have Apoorva Bhagat with us. So Apoorva, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, sure. So, hi everyone, I'm Apoorva and I graduated from Instrumentation and Control Engineering, ICE, from NSIT in 2020. And I secured an on-campus placement in Amazon, and I've been working in Amazon since the past 2 months now. Yeah.
Okay, so where did you intern and how was your internship experience?
Okay, so I interned at a startup which is called Hyperdart Technologies Private Limited, and it was based in Gurgaon. So even my internship was an on-campus internship, and it happened during the summers of 2019. And since it was a startup, so it wasn't a really big company per se. We were just around 20 people or so. And the work was nice and it was very new. It was probably my first time as developing, writing development course that would probably go in production. So that way, that internship was nice. But if there was one thing I was sure about, I was that I want to strive for better, and I would probably put in more efforts to, crack a better placement or something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so being from ICE, it was like really difficult for you to crack Amazon because not many companies allow ICE to sit for tech placements, right? Plus, there was a CGPA criteria also for non-CS branches. The CGPA criteria is more than the CS branches. So, how did you prepare for it?
Right. So, as you mentioned, it is not as easy for people from EC or IC to, get an opportunity also to sit for on-campus process. So, actually, I actually started with MPAE. So, I had come to college in MPAE, and after the first semester, I got upgraded to IC. And in my second semester, I actually gave IC a very great shot that I was like, chalo IC mein aaye, to let's try ki hai kya ye branch. And luckily or unluckily, second semester we had a lot of subjects which were IC core and lab subjects. So second semester में पढ़ा lab किया तो luckily second semester मुझे समझ आ गया था कि IC तो नहीं है मेरे लिए और ये मैं नहीं कर सकती. And also because 11th and 12th में I had computer programming, so I knew about it a little bit. And everybody, because NSIT में इतना अच्छा coding culture है, so your peers around are coding and everything. So that is when I started कि अब करते हैं, अब let's try handed coding. तो स्टार्ट मेरा वहाँ से हुआ था प्रेपरेशन. आई वुड से कि आफ्टर द एंड ऑफ फर्स्ट ईयर उन छुट्टियों में आई टेकन अ कोडिंग कोर्स इन जावा. तो मैंने वहाँ से शुरुआत की. एंड फिर द सेकेंड ईयर आई डिड नॉट रियली पुट इन मच एफर्ट्स. एंड द थर्ड सेमेस्टर आई वुड से फोर्थ सेमेस्टर में फिर अच्छा हिट हुआ कि अब इंटर्नशिप सीजन आने वाली है, तो लेट्स स्टार्ट विद प्रेपरेशन. तो फिर थोड़ा बैकअप करा, थोड़ा प्रैक्टिस करनी शुरू करी एंड एवरीथिंग लाइक दैट. और फिर फिफ्थ सेमेस्टर में गॉट इन इंटर्नशिप. फिर उसके बाद भी प्रेपरेशन चालू रही बिकॉज नाउ ऑफ कोर्स कोडिंग के लिए आई वुड से कि जितना तुम्हारा एप्टीट्यूड रिक्वायर्ड है उतनी तुम्हारी प्रैक्टिस भी रिक्वायर्ड है, स्पेशली इफ यू आर नॉट फ्रॉम अ CS और IT ब्रांच, क्योंकि तुम्हारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज वैसे ही कम है. एंड यू हैव टू मास्टर एवरीथिंग दैट इज रिक्वायर्ड फॉर प्लेसमेंट्स, राइट. तुम्हें कोडिंग एप्टीट्यूड डेवलप करना है, तुम्हें अपनी स्पीड डेवलप करनी है, एंड यू हैव टू प्रिपेयर लाइक एवरी कंपनी इज योर ओनली शॉट एट डूइंग दिस. मतलब उतना तुम्हें डिटरमाइंड होना पड़ेगा बिकॉज देयर इज नो डिनाइंग कि कम अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं हमारे कॉलेज में एटलीस्ट. So with keeping all of those things in mind, so I prepared. And then फिर sixth semester में seventh semester में जाके फिर luckily Amazon आई, and that Amazon is one company which allows all branches, and things worked out for me, and then I got the placement.
That's really great. So how did you prepare exactly? Like which all resources did you use, and which all coding sites like Lead Code, Geeks for Geeks, Interview It, and where did you learn the OS fundamentals like operating systems, DBMS, and OOPS?
Right. So how it actually happened was मैंने starting से GFG करा है. So GFG was like my go-to website. Like people used to do it on Lead Code and all of those, but मुझे ज़्यादा पसंद नहीं था. आई स्टिक टू GFG. एंड उसमें जो रिसोर्स, उसमें काफ़ी अच्छी लिस्ट बनी होती है, मस्ट डू क्वेश्चंस, कंपनी वाइज क्वेश्चंस एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट. सो आई फोकस्ड ऑन दोज बेसिकली. सो मेरा फर्स्ट स्टेप वाज टू गो थ्रू मस्ट डू क्वेश्चंस, मस्ट डू इंटरव्यू प्रेपरेशन क्वेश्चंस एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट. सेकेंडली फिर आई ऑल्सो टच्ड कोड फोर्सेस, क्योंकि मुझे लोगों ने बोला था कि ट्राई कम्पेटिटिव बिकॉज इट गिव्स यू एन एज एंड ऑल ऑफ दोज थिंग्स. तो मैंने कोड फोर्सेस ट्राई किया. इट वाज गुड, इट वाज नाइस, आई लाइक्ड इट, बट and like I probably did it also for like 2-3 months very nicely, but उसके बाद भी then later on I shift to GFG only. तो मतलब मेरा mostly GFG ही रहा है. And apart from that, when it comes to OS DBMS, of course, ये जो 3 subjects हैं, I would say OS DBMS, computer networks, and OOPS, 4 of them. ये काफी important है for anybody who's sitting for placements, and हमें as IC हमें नहीं पढ़ाते, तो it becomes all the more important for you to do these things. So the resources that I use were YouTube. Then there are books, जैसे जो भी तुम अपने computer science या IT के friends से बात कर सकते हो, what books did they refer to, and I went through those books. And luckily हमारे college में CBCS system भी है, तो जब हमें electives लेने का chance मिला, तो I took all these 3 electives, DBMS, OS and computer networks. तो फिर से मेरी degree में भी लिखा आ जाएगा अब वो, और मैंने पढ़ भी लिया साथ साथ. But like the resources were YouTube and books.
What was the interview process for Amazon? Like, can you explain that?
So the first round was our technical test round, which had 2 coding questions. Then we had around 30 MCQs, which consisted of those 4 subjects, OS, DBMS, OOPS and computer networks. And also Amazon has this find the error or debugging type questions where, right, they'll mention, they'll probably, give you a line wise, कि कौन से line में क्या error है तुम बताओ. So those kind of questions are what you can expect in an Amazon test. Then the next 3 rounds were technical rounds wherein I was asked coding questions. But I would say मेरा experience बाकी लोगों से थोड़ा अलग था in the sense कि जो मेरा first round था that lasted for around 1.5 hours. And I was just asked 1 question. और उसी एक question में I was made to write 3 solutions of that same question. 3 approaches उसी एक question के लिए एक hard मतलब 1.5 hours वो round चला था. Then the second round was like a typical technical interview round, just where I was asked 2 coding questions. Then the third round also was a little different in the sense that एक coding question उन्होंने पूछा था, and then because I feel I'm not from CS or IT background, they probably, I would use the word, grilled me on OS, DBMS and computer networks, and not just like touching through those topics in depth. उन्होंने मुझसे हर चीज पूछी है. So I think उन्होंने मुझसे पूरा OS और DBMS का syllabus तो पूछ ही लिया था in that interview, and even that interview lasted for about 45 minutes. So that is another thing for people from EC or IC कि you can't just touch those subjects, तुम्हें उन depth में अच्छे से पढ़ना ही पड़ेगा. And then the last round was a a technical I wouldn't say HR round, but Amazon had some leadership principles. So
bar raiser round. I think it's called the bar raiser round.
The bar raiser round, right? So उसमें they test you on your leadership skills. So उनके 2-3 leadership skills से they'll ask you questions and all of those things. And also last round में they go in depth into your projects that you've mentioned in your resume. Right? तो तुम्हें मतलब वो काफी ग्रिल करेंगे, तुमसे हर एक चीज पूछेंगे, एंड दे विल दे आर एक्चुअली गोइंग टू सी कि तुम्हें कितने इन डेप्थ में तुम्हें उस प्रोजेक्ट की नॉलेज है. नॉट क्वेश्चंस लाइक तुमने ये कैसे इम्प्लीमेंट किया, वो कैसे इम्प्लीमेंट किया, बट द लॉजिक की इफ यू नो कि इसके क्या एरर्स हो सकते थे, या तुमने सारे कॉर्नर केसेस के लिए अपने प्रोजेक्ट में कुछ सपोर्ट डाला था एंड थिंग्स लाइक दैट. सो दैट इज व्हाट दे मोर इंटरेस्टेड इन. सो या दैट वाज अबाउट इट.
So it's been like 2 months you have been working with Amazon, right? So how is the work experience there?
So I mean, I would say it's not as one would expect to, अगर लॉकडाउन नहीं होता पर से, तो जैसे तुमने एक्सपीरियंस सोचा था वैसा नहीं है, बट स्टिल it's much better than what you also expect कि लॉकडाउन में जैसा होगा. In the sense that, like the people are very nice and the team is very supportive. तुम किसी को भी कॉल कर सकते हो, तुम किसी से भी पूछ सकते हो तुम्हारे अगर कोई डाउट्स है तो. और Amazon का थोड़ा अलग सिस्टम है इन द सेंस कि उनका बिल्ड सिस्टम थोड़ा अलग है, एंड सॉफ्टवेयर साइड पे they have their internal sources. तो वो सब मुझे फिगर आउट करने में थोड़ा टाइम लगा, बट देन अगेन विद एवरीबॉडीज हेल्प इट वाजंट दैट टफ ऑफ अ डील. एंड उसके बाद आई वुड से द लर्निंग कर्व हियर इज वेरी स्टीप. सो लाइक बहुत मजा आता है to learn new things and then to actually write codes that are going into production, and that too for a company like Amazon. So it's like it gives you a huge sense of achievement, when you start working and doing such things. And just in 2 months it's been happening, तो काफी adrenaline rush रहता है यहाँ पे. So it's nice, it's very exciting every day. I mean, these are not just things to say, but ये actually होता है कि तुम्हें अच्छा लगता है काम करना.
So how was your college life?
Right. So, if there was one thing I was sure from school, वो ये था कि मुझे कॉलेज में जाते ही पढ़ाई नहीं करनी है. I want to relax little bit. 11th, 12th में इतना grill करा है हम सब ने. तो that was one thing I was sure about, that I want to invest my time in extracurriculars also. तो मेरा first year was extracurriculars में ही था mostly. I joined the dramatic society, I joined the debating society and the dance society. तो तीनों करा and it was quite fun. फिर धीरे धीरे फिर जब सेकेंड ईयर में थोड़ी अकल आने लगी कि नहीं, इट्स टाइम टू स्टार्ट नाउ, तो तब शुरू किया कि चलो ठीक है, अब कि एक पार्ट जो तुमने सोचा था वो हो गया है, तो नाउ लेट्स आल्सो स्टार्ट कॉन्सेंट्रेटिंग ऑन दिस. तो तब शुरुआत हुई थी, बट आई स्टिल कंटिन्यूड विद ड्रामेटिक्स एंड डिबेटिंग. तो थ्रू आउट माई कॉलेज लाइक ड्रामेटिक्स और डिबेटिंग तो रहा ही है, एंड दैट एक्चुअली इज गिवन मी सो मच मोर एक्सपोजर देन आई फील कि in the sense कि I developed a lot of soft skills by being in the dramatic society. You become a lot more confident, you open up, and then also the best part about it is you meet such wonderful seniors जो तुम्हें हर step पे guide करते हैं. So I think networking and indulging in all those things is also very important in extracurriculars. और जैसे सब कहते हैं कि सबने trips करे, college life enjoy करी, वो सब करा. So that was like a good, I would say I had a good life in college. Yeah.
So the last question is, do you have any suggestion for juniors?
Okay, so I feel that I'm not in that stage yet जब मैं किसी को कोई professional advice दे सकती हूँ, career advice, but an advice for juniors who are sitting for interviews, be it tech, non-tech, core या जैसे भी, is कि whenever you go for interviews, right, तो ऐसा कई बार होगा that you're given a question जो तुमने कभी नहीं सुना होगा, उसमें तुम्हें कुछ आइडिया नहीं होगा, and that's fine. Even the interviewer does not expect कि तुम्हें सब कुछ आता होगा, तुम कोई सुपर ह्यूमन नहीं हो, and everybody knows that. But what they actually want you to do is वो तुम्हें hints दे रहे हैं या वो तुम्हें पूछना चाह रहे हैं, तुम उनको catch करो. They're okay with the fact with you not knowing it, but what you are supposed to do is you're not supposed to get nervous or scared, but to actually see कि वो क्या hints दे रहे हैं, वो तुमसे क्या चाहते हैं, and you will eventually reach to the solution. Just have that confidence, तो तुम्हें डरने की जरूरत नहीं है if you're if you're given something that you have no idea about. That is like the whole interview process. That is what the interviewer also expects, कि वो जो तुम्हें कहे वो तुम उसको catch करो, and then you proceed with the interview and your answers. That is just one thing I would want to tell juniors. मैंने जब देखा लोग फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर से कोडिंग कर रहे हैं, फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर के लोग पूछ रहे क्या करे क्या नहीं करे, सो I mean 4 years are a long time. मैंने कितने लोगों को देखा है जो सिर्फ प्लेसमेंट के 2 महीने पहले पढ़ के they crack the best of placements. Now अब ठीक है, शायद वो होंगे, शायद उन्होंने जो भी, but I'm not saying that's the best way to go about it, but that doesn't mean कि तुम एकदम कॉलेज लाइफ ही तुमने पूरा सिर्फ प्लेसमेंट को ही दे दे कि प्लेसमेंट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ योर कॉलेज प्रोसेस, और वो हो जाएगी. As for NSIT people, I would just like to say that we are privileged enough कि हमारे college provides such a nice exposure in terms of placements to us, right? तो अगर तुम्हारे पास वो privilege है, तो you should also then enjoy your college life and experience the other aspects of it, and rather than just focusing on placements. Coding तुम्हारी हो जाएगी, तुम्हारे non-tech के case studies हो जाएंगे, तुम electrical भी कर लोगे, everything works out in the end, but you cannot absolutely miss out on the college experience right now, especially not in your first year, and even the second year भी नहीं. Enjoy करो, साथ साथ पढ़ाई करो, maintain a balance, and I think college में नहीं करा ना तो बाद में भी तुम्हारा work life balance maintain करना मुश्किल हो जाएगा, जिसके लिए everybody is facing that issue now, so I think college is a very good time to learn that thing also.
So okay, thank you, it was like really nice talking to you.
Thank you for having me.